I grew up in a aggressive, violent and anxious home. My dad, he had an alcohol abuse problem, and that changed him every time he would drink, and he would drink often, and it became very aggressive and at times violent. I would always try and change subjects, kind of bring down the level if possible. If I had to throw a pillow into a room, then I would, just to try and soften things. Literal pillow as well. Yeah, just to, sometimes people need a moment of grounding.
Sort of break the circuit a bit.
Yeah. And as a child of 6 years old, I thought a pillow would do that, and I knew there was another way. I knew this wasn't how I was going to spend the rest of my life.
Hello, and welcome to Crisis What Crisis, the podcast that explores life's toughest moments with the people who've lived them, learned from them, and come back stronger. I'm Andy Coulson, and if you've been through a crisis or just want to be better prepared for life's inevitable difficulties, these conversations are all about providing those practical lessons that will help you survive, rebuild, and thrive again. If this is your first time with us, do please hit subscribe wherever you're watching or listening and leave us a review. It really helps make sure that these conversations reach those who need them most. Today, I'm joined by Goldie, a man whose journey from silence, really, to self-help has resonated with millions. Alex built his name and his following on honesty. During the height of the pandemic, from a place of anxiety, a lifelong fear of failure, and personal low confidence, he hit record and began posting short TikTok videos about mental health. They weren't particularly polished, but they were very real, and they connected. Fast forward to today, Alex has over 2.5 million social media followers, 1.4 million on TikTok alone, a best-selling book, and a voice that's become a daily fixture in the lives of so many people trying to move through fear, stagnation, and self-doubt. He's spoken about the importance of mindset, purpose, healing, and resilience, and he's written this brilliant manual, as I mentioned, Get Out of Your Own Way, 10 Steps to Unlock Your True Potential. In this conversation, we will go a bit deeper to ask what drove Alex to use his own pain and difficulties to empower others who might be struggling. He is, I think, playing an important role at a time when anxiety appears to be an epidemic, really, especially among younger people. So I'm so pleased to sit with him today, to hear his story, to get his views on how we can help others build the resilience required to deal with modern life. Goldie, welcome to Crisis What Crisis.
Hi, thank you for having me, Andy.
How are you?
I'm doing well today. The sun is shining today. The rain has stopped.
Yeah, very good. Alex, first of all, congratulations on this book.
Thank you very much.
Compared to your epic success on social media, how does it feel?
It feels, well, incredible and the same. As in, success doesn't always feel like success feels like. You expect it to be one way, and it's actually quite normal. It's in the mundane. When you do something like write a book as opposed to make a 30-second video, I don't get to see what that success is straight away, and it's a lengthy process. And I always tell people that success is in the boring. It's in the mundane. It's doing small things every single day to reach your goal, and that's what the book was for me. Eventually, after long hours writing and lots of anxious thoughts and processes into that, came out this book, and I really hope it does help people.
So that move from 30-second clips to thousands of words,
yes,
and the
instant gratification to, I have no idea what's going to happen here. Am I doing the right thing?
Yeah,
I can't correct the process very quickly. I have to wait and see with this one.
Yeah. Well, look, it's brilliantly done. It's a very accessible manual.
Thank you.
For those looking to reframe their lives, lots of practical steps. One of the things you say, which I love, is that your ultimate aim here is to be unfollowed.
Yes.
That if the person watching your clips can get themselves to the point where they unfollow you, then that's success for you.
Definitely.
I mean, I love it. It doesn't sound like a particularly useful commercial strategy, but maybe it is. There's genius in there. I'm sure there's genius in there. But
I think I wanted to be real going into this. I didn't want to be somebody who was selling courses, selling a way through. I wanted people to understand what I was trying to say and actually take on the help and apply it to themselves in real time. If it works, then I am redundant to them. They have passed whatever their hurdle was. And of course, they can always come back. And I obviously would rather you did still follow me, of course. But the point being is, if I am giving good, solid advice in whatever you need, then you don't need me anymore and you can go on.
Wonderful. Alex, let's talk about what led to this connection that you built with so many people. I mean, as is the case, obviously, for so many, your issues really started in childhood.
Yeah.
Tell me about that childhood, Alex. Tell me about the sort of the beginning of that journey.
Well, I grew up in a aggressive, violent and anxious home. I was loved. I was never short of love from my mother and my brothers and sisters, and we looked after each other. But
you're one of 5, right?
One of 5 children, yeah.
And you sort of sit in the middle.
I'm second youngest, yeah.
Right, yeah.
There were a few other steps here and there. My dad remarried quite a few times, but unfortunately, he was the catalyst for a lot of our issues. He had an alcohol abuse problem, and that changed him. Every time he would drink, and he would drink often, and it became very aggressive and at times violent.
Towards you and your siblings?
Mostly to my mother, but yes, to me and a couple of my brothers, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And you're what sort of age when this emerges, if you like, or was it a constant in your life?
So it was from around the ages of 5, 6 until my mum bravely divorced him when I was about 12, I believe, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Still very kind of vivid memories for you.
Yes, it wasn't a pleasant place to live by any stretch of the imagination. And I believe my anxiety and problems with anxiety started at that point. I felt like we were always treading on eggshells. I found that I always should be the most perfect boy I possibly could to not rock the boat and cause anything towards myself or anybody else in the family.
You describe yourself, which I suspect anyone listening to this who's found themselves in a similar environment or been in the sort of orbit of that kind of environment, as a sort of peacemaker.
Yes.
That's the role that you adopted.
For sure. I would always try and change subjects, kind of bring down the level if possible. If I had to throw a pillow into a room, then I would, just to try and soften things. Literal pillow as well. Yeah, just to, sometimes people need a moment of grounding.
Sort of break the circuit a bit.
Yeah. And as a child of 6 years old, I thought a pillow would do that, and I think maybe it worked once or twice, and then didn't work after that. But
How was your relationship with your dad? Can I ask? As obviously there are periods when he wasn't drinking.
Mm-hmm.
Were there periods when the relationship was in a good place?
Yeah.
How do you sort of reflect on it now?
I reflect on it that when he was sober, and that would happen in moments in more daytime periods, the relationship was good, but he deep down was so unhappy with himself, which is why he drank to the level he did. So our relationship was always fractured. It was always, I'm keeping you at arm's length from after my parents' divorce. I still had a relationship with him because even after everything I experienced, I still loved the man. It's hard to not when they're family. I understand why so many people potentially stay in abusive relationships with partners, because on some level they do love them and they think they can change them. I never thought I could change my dad. I just wanted to keep him there. I didn't want to cut him off completely at that point.
So its impact on you, Alex, in sort of practical terms. School?
Yeah.
You didn't love it?
No, we had issues with that as well. Had moments where my dad, I believe, not 100% confirmed, but believed when he was kicked out once and taken away by the police, he was released and then wrote graffiti on outside my school, my primary school. in regards to my mother, and
Goodness me.
yeah, it had obviously an effect at the time, and obviously I still think about it now, but I don't let it affect me like it did then.
Yeah. What's your analysis now? I mean, you're incredible. Come through in your clips and in your writing. You're incredibly reflective now on the impact of those kind of environments. So when you now analyse the sort of impact that it was having on you and the person that you became, pre the kind of reboot of Alex, if I can put it that way, that came. How do you characterise that? What was the impact on you?
The impact was I didn't want to be what I had grown up to become. So my late teens and early 20s, I didn't like how everything that had happened to me had transformed me, the person I was. I was incredibly anxious, very, very low on confidence, and I knew there was another way. I knew this wasn't how I was going to spend the rest of my life. So I delve into self-improvement myself, and I realized that through this as well, that so many other people needed what I was learning as well. So I'd always try and collaborate with friends and people who in need and talk about these issues that I discuss in the book, and anxiety and crisis and things like that. And I love now, having come through it, using my experience to help others.
Yeah. So technology, given your age,
yes,
considerably younger than the person sat here asking the questions, has presumably played a part in that journey for you. Obviously, it's played a very significant part in the amazing work that you're doing now. But as a younger man, how much of a part, in terms of the difficulties that you were, the anxiety and I think you describe yourself as having a sort of procrastination addiction.
Yes,
that's very familiar to an awful lot of people these days, partly driven by these things that we carry around in our pockets.
Yes.
How much of a part did technology play in your difficulties before you then, which I'm very interested to talk to you about, how you then flip that into a positive?
Yes, technology has had a negative impact in that process, definitely. For me, when I was of the age of MSN Messenger.
Right.
So we'd come home from school and be on MSN Messenger, and there are ways in which you want to express yourself online, even at that young age. It was early in that point, and people with MySpace and Bebo as well, I think that was around the time. It was just starting.
MySpace sort of feels wonderfully nostalgic.
I know. I used to have like your 5 favourite songs as well in there, and that was everything.
Yeah.
I had to have the best songs to show people that I was cool or that I was worth being friends with, and that's...
It really was the beginnings of this issue, wasn't it?
Social anxiety.
It was the foothills.
Yeah, for sure. We see what it is now today, and it has both good and bad size technology. But yeah, that was definitely some anxiety involved in the social aspect, definitely online.
Fueled it for you, for sure.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And those that you were around.
Yeah.
Same for your siblings in a way. I mean, was it obviously a range of ages there? You got younger siblings who were...
So youngest was 4 years younger than me. He's 31 now, and eldest, who has just passed, was 56.
Yeah,
so,
I'm sorry to hear that. I know that you lost, in fact, your older brother and your father passed within 2 weeks of each other.
Yeah,
Is that right?
That's right. That happened earlier this year, just before the book was released. My father was suffering from heart failure for the last year. He had a heart attack in his 50s, survived it, had a triple heart bypass, and then has... somehow he stayed alive until he was 82 with a dodgy heart, and his dad before him died of a heart attack, and his dad before that. So we've always had heart issues in the family. So there's always been health anxiety, which has always played in the back of my mind. Mm-hmm. But he finally passed, January this year, and then a week or two later, my eldest brother, who didn't have a good relationship with my dad or any of us, he cut us all out quite a few years back. But I found out he took his own life a few weeks afterwards.
Alex,
Yeah.
I'm just so sorry.
It's okay.
And that's an enormous amount to have to deal with in a very concentrated period of time.
Yeah.
This is shortly after you'd finished the process of writing this book.
Yeah.
So the question I suppose I would ask is how, having gone through the process of delivering something that is fundamentally useful to people dealing with
Yeah.
life's difficult stuff, how useful was it to you, I suppose, in dealing with your own, what must have been incredibly intense, very difficult grief?
It was incredibly useful because I had just written basically a roadmap for dealing with issues like this. I'd also lived it whilst writing it in moments, and then having to deal with this right afterwards, I felt fresh in what path, what I should do, where I should go with this, how I should feel. But grief is it's not a one shot like fits all sort of thing, and I am processing it in my own way. However, having just written that, definitely it helped me leaps and bounds.
Yeah. Well, again, and Alex, I'm
Yeah.
so sorry it happened to you. The relationship with your father had,
Yeah.
given the story that you've told us and the history,
Yeah.
you'd stayed in touch. You were still with him, or you were still in touch. You were
Yeah.
able to see him.
We were in touch sporadically. I think I wanted to, still, as I said, have him in my life to a degree, but on my own terms, at arm's reach. But I wanted to still check in every now and then, and I did so. And obviously, when we knew he was dying, I ramped up seeing him a bit more, just because I knew things needed to be said. We needed to talk about a few things, and I didn't want to have any regrets.
There's a clip of yours that I saw on TikTok, and I think it's a piece of advice that is worth discussing. You sort of encourage people to adopt the idea that you are not wedded to anyone in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Metaphorically,
Yeah.
perhaps actually, that letting go is okay.
Yeah.
And you go quite away with that. You say that includes family,
Yeah, definitely.
right? And that is obviously something that you have lived
Yep.
yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Key piece of advice for you,
Yeah.
and that has been very important for you to be able to kind of get to a point of peace with that.
Yeah. You've heard the expression of you can only think as far as the four walls around you. The idea is, simply put, is our creative brain will only work if it's in a creative environment, and in a windowless box, you're not going to be very creative. You still can be, but not very creative.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you were in a big open room or open outdoor spaces, you can find inspiration and be more creative. And I took that and I realized that the walls might not necessarily be actual walls. They can be people, they can be friends, they can be your family, loved ones. People, we can allow people to stop us from exploring what we want to in life. We can take people's opinions, actual or imaginative, and use that as an excuse to not explore parts of life. I find that if you are in a family or a society that is holding you back because they think you should act a certain way, you should be a certain way, then you need to start by setting strong boundaries with these people, telling them that you are going to be doing this, and you won't have any say about your life because it is your life. And if people don't respect those boundaries, then you can go as far as completely cutting them out.
It's powerful advice. I'd like to go back, if I can, Alex. Let's just tell the story of how you flipped the switch. We have a sense of where you were pre-COVID.
Yes.
What were you doing for a living, by the way, at that stage?
I've worked for British Airways
Right.
since 2011.
Right.
I've worked in different roles, and just before COVID, I was an in-flight manager for British Airways on board. Aviation's run through my whole family.
Right.
My granddad was in the RAF, and
Yeah.
my mum was cabin crew for British Airways most of her life. So I think at 2011, I just finished actually looking after my dad. He had kidney failure. Nobody else wanted to look after him. I had to force him into hospital.
Goodness.
He wouldn't go. I had to get people round to literally take him away and get him into hospital. Did it. He thanked me for saving his life afterwards. But I once he was recovered, I left him and then went back to where I grew up. And my mum said British Airways were hiring a new fleet. It's awful pay, but you'll get to see the world. And you've been stuck in my dad owned a pub at the time. You've been stuck in a awful, dingy place for the last year. Go explore, go live. So I did it, and I didn't look back for a long time until COVID.
Wow. So you love that job?
I did. Meeting incredible people. I met my partner Rebecca through British Airways, and traveling the world and seeing so many different cultures and people is something that I recommend to everybody. Get moving, get out there as much as you can, and yeah, I loved it.
So you're enjoying your work,
yeah,
but you're still stuck.
Yes,
as you've described it.
Yeah.
And the procrastination is still fixed.
Yeah, I felt like there was more. I felt like I could do more.
Yeah. But you're someone who obviously also had. You touched on it earlier. Yeah. There was also still though inside you an understanding this is not who I want to be.
Yeah.
Right. You knew that there was something else.
I knew I could do. What
do you kind of assign that to, if you like? Where did that kind of come from?
Half potentially to do with ego,
yeah,
which I believe
not unhelpful, right?
Very which I actually talk about in the book about how to dismantle, because it's not very helpful in times. But I had learnt so much from self-improvement content and reading multiple books by multiple brilliant authors, and I knew I had the information now and I could share and I could help other people. There felt like there was just something more to this life than what I had experienced so far.
The pandemic is the catalyst, right?
It is, yeah.
Just tell us what happened.
So it's a combination of two things. First, the pandemic hit, aviation ground to a halt. We were made, a lot of us were made redundant, compulsory redundancy in that time. So I was unemployed. Rewind 6 months before that, I'd met my partner Rebecca, and I'd had this idea of writing a book floating in the back of my head. I didn't know exactly what it would be yet. I just knew it was going to be aimed at maybe, at the time, helping men have a voice. Mm-hmm. At the time, it was very bad to be a man, and there are some very bad men in the world, but the majority are not. So it was trying to help them deal with their own mental health issues and be themselves in the right way.
How interesting. So the process actually started with a book.
That was the idea. I wanted to write a book. I thought that was the best way to do it. At this point, I wasn't really sure what TikTok was. I knew YouTube, but TikTok didn't really exist. And I took my partner Rebecca out on a date. It was in Los Angeles. And as a way to impress her, I told her I was going to write a book. Not really thinking it through completely. And then after that...
That's a very high stakes bit of chat, Alex.
Yes. I think I was...
It comes with a fair degree of commitment on the delivery side.
I wasn't thinking properly.
You pulled it off though, mate.
It did well.
You pulled it off.
But this is the thing, after I realised quite quickly that this wasn't going to be just a one date, I realised I'm actually going to have to put my money where my mouth is and write this book.
Yeah.
However, content was what I realised quickly was the fastest way to get my message across. I thought, I'm not going to start writing this book yet and have it be all for nothing. I'm going to try and get my voice and my ideas out there and see if it resonates with the right people. And it did. It blew up. Rebecca introduced me to TikTok. At the time, it was mostly dancing videos and things like that. And then it stopped on this ginger bearded man talking about self-improvement, mental health.
So
advice.
you actually hadn't spent that much time yourself on TikTok. You weren't a consumer.
No, I wasn't. No.
Right.
No.
So how did you sort of alight on your format and obviously TikTok is
Yeah.
short form, but the style of the very direct, short, punchy,
Yeah.
kind of minimalist, if you like, attitude or approach that you have towards it. How did you alight on that format?
Well, I'd followed at the time a few YouTubers in the self-improvement sphere, and I think at the time YouTube was what I wanted to do. I wanted to become a YouTuber and help people that way. But TikTok was taking off at the time, and I thought I'll create YouTube videos and I will also long form YouTube videos and get into the meat of things. And I can also create short, punchy, hit them where it hurts, short form videos.
Hit them where it helps.
Yeah, literally. And that's what really broke it.
So tell me about the first clip, how it felt. I think it was 3 things that destroy your mental health.
Okay, back. I actually don't know what I said in this video, but
yeah,
it was. I thought it had to be short at the time. It couldn't be over 60 seconds. TikTok wouldn't allow it at the time.
Yeah.
And most things were under 30 seconds. So I thought, how can I get the best information I can in 30 seconds? I need to put it into a number format because people love the psychology of numbers. And if what I'm saying gets one response saying, thank you, this helped me, or that kind of response, then this is what I'm doing.
But how did it feel from an emotional point of view, putting that out? Because that's a leap, right? That is exposure.
Yeah.
You've talked about yourself having, this break on yourself, this anxiety, this lack of confidence. It's 0 to 60, right? To then press record, stick it out for the world to see.
Yeah.
Do you remember how that felt?
Yeah. It's nerve-wracking. That is the first thing you have to understand. But there's a great piece of advice. I can't remember where I've heard it now, but it's embarrassment is an unexplored emotion. And I strongly believe that some of the best things in this life are on the other side of embarrassment. If you can be okay with being embarrassed in anything, then you can accomplish anything. Our ego holds us back so much, and our inner voice holds us back so much. So I knew that I had to just turn off the noise, turn it down, just sit there by myself and record. That video, whilst only 30 seconds, seems very simple. It probably took me about 18 attempts to record it, because you mess up. You don't like this. And at the time I was a bit more of a perfectionist in it had to be clear and the message had to be clear. I wasn't so concerned about camera or lighting necessarily, but the message had to be clear. And yeah, you have to record that quite a few times.
So you put it out.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm right in saying your first clip was pretty successful.
I believe so. Yeah, definitely at least one of the first 5 anyway.
So how did it feel when you started seeing the numbers?
Oh, it was exciting. It was very exciting.
It's a dopamine thing,
yeah,
right?
I was completely, and that's what TikTok platform is based off. They've managed to find a way to not only have the audience receive dopamine hits, they've also found a way to have the creators hit them as well. And that's what keeps so many people creating on it. If you're successful, you want to do it again. You want to do it again and again.
So those first early, and then you put a few more out pretty rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
Just try and explain what impact that had on you in terms of the sort of opening up of your world that it seems to have provided in a very short and very, very quick period of time.
Yeah. What it helped me with the most was it helped with my anxiety. By putting myself out there, by doing the thing I thought I couldn't do, I became far less anxious and far more confident. So whilst my advice is to help people with that, I am also going through it with you as the audience. I am experiencing myself in a way that I've never put myself out ever, and I am gaining confidence just by doing that. So that's what I got mostly from creating content. Exciting dopamine hits, of course. When a video does great, I'm like, yes, it's amazing. And if a video doesn't do well, I'm like, oh, that's so annoying. But I can just create and do it again, change the message, repackage it, go again.
It looks from the outside like a very sort of straight line, an upward trajectory. Has it been that way, or actually has it had its stalling moments and moments of doubt have crept back in?
Yeah.
tell me about what's happened sort of behind the curtain, if you like.
So yeah, from the outside, it looks like a straight upward trajectory of success, and it's done very well. And the book came out of it; it's amazing. But posting every single day means that I would say 70% of the content doesn't do well, but the 30% does do well, and that's what you see as the audience. You see the posts that do well. They won't push out the posts that don't do well, and that's the reason they don't do well. So I have to deal with 70% of everything I do failing. That equals nights worrying, thinking, and anxious thoughts around that as well.
Just explain the process then. So you film clips, and then you have your Rebecca and others who will then judge whether or not they pass muster. You have a view, obviously, on that. Just talk me through the process.
I look at what people are struggling with in the moment, what's trending within the self-improvement sphere, whether it's being anxiety or fear of missing out, or dealing with like dark, deep depression at times as well. Whatever people are looking for the most, that whatever they need help with at the most, I can think of a way to bring a practical element to them to help them get them in the right direction to helping them with that issue. I write down a whole bunch of ideas of videos, how I can package them. Each idea I'll think of 3 different ways, whether it's a talking head video, it's a written comment video, whatever it is, or it's me doing maybe a skit, which would help them as well. I'll choose what I want to film. I'll film multiple videos in one day. Then the next day I'll edit all the videos, and then I'll try and post at least one video every single day. That's the idea. It doesn't always work perfectly. It's not perfect. But consistency is the best thing if you want to create something long-lasting and meaningful on social media. You have to be consistent.
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of things that I think the reason it's been successful outside looking in. The most important is that your content is authentic.
Yes,
I totally believe you.
Yeah.
Right. There's no sense of a game being played,
No.
or even of an algorithm being kind of used to your advantage. Although you're obviously very good at that as well, for which congratulations.
Thank you.
Because to work out the TikTok algorithm is not necessarily the easiest thing in the world when they're constantly changing.
They are constantly changing it, but there is one key thing: is that the algorithm is the audience. It's not a big giant computer that determines whether they'll push your content out or not.
Yeah.
If what you are saying resonates with the target audience you want, then it will do well. Sometimes it will do better than others, but it will still do well because you are hitting on a pain point or an emotion that somebody cares about.
So that's my analysis, that it's authenticity, it's the fact that I believe you.
Yeah.
What's your analysis of why your content works so brilliantly?
Because I am my audience. I am my target audience. So I'm speaking to myself. I'm giving myself advice before I'm giving anybody else advice. And if I don't like the advice I'm giving myself, then I'm not going to share it. So every video you've ever watched of me helping with whatever the topic is within this sphere, it's because I needed the help with it.
Yeah. Alex, I touched on it in the intro, but anxiety, we know is ripping through, society, and our young people in particular. I read a fascinating piece in The Economist recently that said that the unhappiness curve has become sort of warped.
Yeah.
That middle age used to be the stage of life when we were at our unhappiest, and now that's shifted.
For sure.
To earlier in our lives. And maybe that then, because we're still in the foothills of this problem, perhaps, will mean that we're just all going to be unhappier for longer.
I sincerely
in our lives
hope not.
as we get older, and of course your mission is to try and break that, right?
Yes, that's the idea. Yeah.
In the UK, anxiety levels in the under 40s have rocketed since 2016, which I think is the year that the iPhone 7 maybe was properly a part of our lives, and we shouldn't put all the blame on Apple, but just as a demonstration.
Yeah.
So we touched on it earlier about this technology point.
Yeah.
But what's your view on how we should approach this now? I mean, you could listen to those sort of, read those studies, listen to those statistics, pay attention to all that noise around anxiety right now, and get profoundly depressed about it.
Yeah.
Where are you? Are you more hopeful?
I am hopeful, but we have to take some form of action. So I believe we are in the age of comparison, and everybody's comparing themselves via every social media they can find, and it can get you down. You're watching people live their absolute best life through social media, and it's not necessarily all accurate. People have down moments as well as good moments, but people don't want to necessarily post the down moments, so that's what you don't see that. And then you're sat there scrolling in bed, depressed about whatever the issue is you're depressed about, and you're thinking, oh, this is crap, like this person's living their best life and I'm not, and then that puts you into a spiral of even more anxiety. What the best thing, other than trying to not compare yourself with others, is, my advice is to actually just go out and live your life. And this also adds to another thing to do with anxiety, is why I think it's so high, is we're in an age of convenience. Everything is automated for us. I grew up just on the cusp of, if I want to go get something, I had to go and get it. Whereas now I can just have somebody deliver something to me in a second. And what people don't realize is, whilst convenience is great, I could get a new something today, later this afternoon, whatever it is. But before, in that experience of going out to get that product or whatever it was myself, I would have a potentially mini adventure. I would leave my house, I'd experience the weather, I'd meet people, I'd see people, I would talk to people, I would have real life experiences. And it sounds so ridiculous. We're just talking about potentially going out to get a slice of pizza.
No, not at all.
But it's a whole experience, and the world is out there, and convenience has destroyed that. And one of my favorite, like, sort of social, this is before social, was Anthony Bourdain. And he always said the remedy to life and happiness is to move, to get up, move and experience life. And I know it sounds a bit ridiculous, but depression can't hit a moving target. So experience your life, try and take away the convenience and stop comparing. And I think anxiety will be reduced, definitely.
Wonderful. I love what you said there about comparison. We recorded an episode yesterday, in fact, with a guy called Robert Paler. Robert is was a sort of American college rugby star.
Yeah.
And he suffered a terrible injury in a rugby match and is paraplegic. Incredible guy, like you, written an amazing book, and his favourite piece of advice to himself is to just keep using the phrase "compared to what."
Yeah.
So I'm feeling utterly miserable compared to what. In his case,
that's great advice. Yeah.
I am paraplegic.
Yeah.
Compared to what? And so the compared to what for him goes to, I don't have stage 4 cancer, for example. And he's got a whole range of different things that
there's always something worse.
Each different point, there is always something worse, which sounds like a terrible cliche.
No, but it's
but
true.
Given your point about our being in the age of comparison, that marries beautifully with that, right?
Yeah,
that we've got to take this, recognise that we're in an age of comparison, and flip it round, and just continually ask ourselves, compared to what? I
would strongly recommend, if you want to compare yourself in any way, compare yourself to yourself yesterday. Are you in a better place than you were yesterday or not? What can I do about it? That's it. I wouldn't compare yourself to anybody else, because everybody else's life is different to yours.
Alex, do you ever imagine the sort of version of yourself who never posted that first video?
I don't, but I guess it would be an interesting idea. Strangely enough, I don't think I wouldn't be any different in myself. A few things in my lifestyle would be different, but I fundamentally would still be who I am, looking to find answers to things that I have troubles for. And I do that now through content, but before, and if it didn't exist, I would just be doing it by myself.
Interesting. So the only difference now is that we're all sharing it with you.
There's a camera now involved and other people get to see it.
That's why it's authentic.
Yeah.
Are there parts of the old Alex, the sort of stuck Alex, that still pull at you?
For sure. I think something that's not really talked about enough in mental health is that anxiety and thoughts of worthlessness or any negative thoughts don't just completely disappear from your life. You can work on them and have them appear less frequently, and have the tools to manage them in the moment, but they will still crop up every now and then. I will still think about things, negative thoughts every now and then. Luckily now I have much better toolkit in handling them. But yeah, you can't always escape it. There are moments where I think I have still done nothing. I've not achieved anything because, like I said at the beginning, success is boring. It's not glitz and glam. It's you've done something over a long period of time. It's not overnight.
I totally agree on that analysis. Yeah. That too often it's seen as a sort of the stages that you need to work through to reach some sort of utopia.
Yeah.
When that is not the truth of life.
No.
That these things will come back at you.
Yeah.
Whether it's anxiety, whether it's whether it's something sharper, frankly, depression. These things will circle back at some point. The key to it is to make sure that you're ready.
Yes.
And
indeed.
that you have the ability to control it. And I see these things as sort of series of dials. It might works for me in my mind. I don't quite know why that is. Possibly I don't know, maybe it's a product of having used too many Apple products over the course of my life. But I see it very much as a screen. And, when that, like everyone else, I have issues. When they can't creep back into my life, I just feel like I'm turning down the bitterness dial maybe. Yeah. And let's reach for the gratitude dial and turn that up a bit and see if I can get a little bit of a better balance in that moment. You've helped millions of people, Alex, but success on social media is also notoriously fickle and transient.
Yes.
You considered, if the algorithm decides that we've had enough, Alex. How do you manage that thought? Because that can also be something you get trapped in, right?
It has happened in the last few years whilst making content. How I started making content isn't how I make content now. I've had to change and adapt with trends. The message is still the same, always. And that's the key point. But there have been times where my content stopped working. It stopped. The way I was doing it wasn't getting across. Mm-hmm. So it's all about...
Can you give us an example? This is really interesting.
Yeah. So those 3 ways to handle said issues with mental health just stopped working. Like that just didn't become, that format just wasn't as interesting to people anymore. And I think you have to adapt constantly and learn from your failures as you go, and try and package the message in a different way.
It's like any media.
Any media.
It's just happening
so fast.
It's just happening so rapidly.
Yeah. But you just have to ignore that and do what works until it doesn't work anymore.
So I've never really thought about it like that. I am, as I touched on earlier, right? I'm from a dinosaur age of print media. And so we used to run promotions on the front page. And when I was editing the News of the World, in fact, we went through a mad period of giving away free DVDs with the newspaper, right? Which was insane, because we were basically saying this paper's worth absolutely nothing unless you get to watch, Tom Hanks' Big for free.
It's a great movie
as a result. I mean, as a marketing exec, it's insane. But of course, the sales went through the roof, and as soon as we stopped giving away DVDs,
they went down.
They plummeted and way below where they were before.
Yeah.
But that was an exercise over I don't know, maybe a year, right? Well, I think actually probably 2 years that we finally learnt the madness of that lesson.
Yeah.
It's the same principle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Except you're dealing with it, presumably within 24 hours.
literally 12 hours later, I'll know if a video is going to perform well or not after I've posted it. And with your example, you don't want to attach something to you or your content that people only want because of the item or the what's the best word for it, the gimmick with it. You want people coming back because of what you make. You want people coming back because they want to read the news of the world, not for big, even if it is a great movie. And with content, I need to make sure that I am not offering a false hope, that I'm giving real practical advice that people actually want to see me for. So for all the viral videos I've had, I would much rather have a medium amount of views that are consistent, that people regularly engage with and have actually helped people.
Yeah.
Obviously, I hope within my content I have that still as well. But if you know what I mean,
yeah,
I don't need the virality. I just want to help. That's it.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And of course, the other element of this is that when it doesn't work, I can talk about a newspaper not selling.
Yeah.
That's not nearly as, it has, had an impact on my professional reputation, I suppose. But it wasn't me.
No.
Whereas this is you, right? It's your face.
Yeah.
It's your magnificent beard.
Thank you.
It is you, right? So so how have you built the wall to make sure that doesn't kind of seep in, right? How are you sort of protecting yourself in that process?
So this partly to do with dismantling the ego. I am creating the content, but it's not, I don't see it as me. The information is what is important. Mm-hmm. So when a video doesn't do well, or I'm not getting the reach that I need, I don't contribute it to me. I contribute it to the way I packaged it. It didn't work. It didn't resonate properly. So in that, I know, and which is the beauty of short form content, is I can go again tomorrow. I can go again in 12 hours. I can redo it or start from scratch and do something completely different. And that has the potential to do well.
I love this. This. It's by exposing yourself, by making yourself vulnerable, that you've made yourself more resilient.
It literally is. And if you don't, if you like I said before, if you aren't willing to embarrass yourself or make a fool of yourself, then you will never achieve anything that you will be happy with.
Alex, I don't know if this is planned, but you've got to go on a tour of every school in this country. You've got to start talking
I've got
to kids
to.
directly.
No, I have. Yeah, that would be.
I'm sure you're already doing it, but this is so important at this point in time, and that's the that's the age that we've got to be having this conversation.
For sure.
We see this conversation about resilience as only being one that you might have with someone who's in their late teens or maybe their mid-teens. This is a conversation that's got to start much earlier.
I have a 12-year-old daughter, and I am trying to be the best father I possibly can in showing love and being a good father, unlike what I had. But I am also trying to instill as many ways to handle anxiety for her, because I do think whilst we are being induced with anxiety through things like smartphones and comparing, there is always natural anxiety that will always be in us. Yeah. So I just try to teach her every day how to handle each and everything that she deals with, school or family, whatever it is. And we need to start it early, because I didn't start early enough. I let anxiety, I don't want to say ruin, because what I have now achieved from it is amazing.
You've built an amazing purpose, a sense of purpose out of it. Yeah.
Thank you. But I felt from the age of 6 to 21, I was an anxious mess, and I just wish I wasn't. I wish I could have not been that case. So the earlier we can give the right tools to younger people to dealing with this, then the better.
I heard a piece on the radio the other day that was saying that 70% of teenage girls in this country have at some stage taken time out of school because of anxiety.
Yeah, for sure.
That is a
It's massive.
That is just a terrifying statistic. Alex, as we finish, if we could leave the listeners and viewers with one key piece of advice from your book,
Yes.
what would it be?
Believe that everything is going to be okay. The process I start the book out with is about taking steps. It doesn't matter how big, it doesn't matter how small, but make the steps forward in the trajectory that you want to go. You have a plan, do something very small that moves you towards that. Don't just sit on it. Don't just start comparing. Don't think about it too long. Just make a step, get out there, move, and act and move as if everything is going to work out.
Wonderful. Alex Goldie, thanks so much for sharing your story and your insights.
Thank you, Andy.
You are, as I said earlier, I think doing very important work. So thank you for that. And thank you for joining us.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Great to be here.
Crisis What Crisis is a podcast really that's all about coming back from the brink to a place of strength. So if you know someone who needs that, please do share it. As always, full transcripts along with helpful links are available on our website. Just head to crisiswhatcrisis.com. Thanks as ever to the Crisis What Crisis team. Jane Sankey, Hannah Walker-Brown, Rex Fisher, Mabel Pickering and the brilliant people at Global. And thank you so much for listening.